Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Scorpio for August 2016. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, see what's new on my blog, sign up for my free email newsletter, and check out my two programs that are currently enrolling, my Astrology Apprenticeship program and my Creating Successful Online Business course. So what's happening in August? This is a really important month. We are ending a 6-week-long open window for launching and initiating and making commitments and doing important things that started at the beginning of July, runs through about August 10th. Then we start to shift into this rest and respond mode with Mercury retrograde coming back up again and the eclipses. The fall eclipses start September 1st. There's one September 1st. There's one September 16th. I will go into way more detail about how the eclipses can look for you, your sign specifically, and more details about the cycle of the Pisces-Virgo eclipses in the September readings. But it's important for you to know now that as of the end of July, you can start to have eclipse-related news. Eclipse-related news coming in could be something majorly life-altering, for better or worse, or both. Sometimes it's for both. So this is a time where things are shuffled up in the cosmos, and it's an amazing opportunity to break free from things that were hindering you. And it can be very stressful, and there are things to know there. But in August, that news might start to come in. So there's a theme to burn bright from about August 1st through 10th. And if you're listening to this earlier, this theme is present in July as well. And then after the 10th, it's starting to shift into this being centered and ready to respond and keeping your plate clear so that when things come in for you to respond to, you have the energy and haven't taken on a bunch of new stuff, okay? So that's the general theme, which we'll go into much more of that in a little bit. Some things specific for Scorpio. I'm calling the theme of this month, Your Place in This Crazy World. There's a huge concentration of energy for early and middle degree Scorpio placements and coming soon for late degree placements. So I'm going to group you in here late degree placements so that you pay attention, but you might find that this is staggered a little bit for you, but it's still very relevant. So early, middle, and late degree placements, you can figure out which one you are of those by looking at the more info new, if you look under this video, it says more info, and scroll to the bottom of that, and I'll have the dates and degrees broken down so you can see there which one you are. But in any case, this energy of the 10th house, whereas this concentration of planetary vibrance, is talking about your purpose, it's talking about your place, it's talking about making peace with authority figure or father figure or people using their power in the world, stepping more into being an authority figure or known as an authority figure, stepping in more into your own personal authority. This is a big theme of this period of time. So I have some suggestions to really max out the energetic potentials here. And I've mentioned this one before, and I will mention it again because it's a good one. There's a book called Astrology for the Soul by Jan Spiller. And this is one of my all-time favorite astrology books. My pages in it are yellow. This is one of my most well-used books. I talk about it in my Astrology Apprenticeship program at length, the nature of the North and South nodes. The North Node in the chart tells you your highest expression in this lifetime, what you're here to do. The South Node talks about the gifts that you came in with and where you get trapped and blocked and stopped up. I don't do a reading without discussing these at length. I don't see how you could. You can explore these on your own. You could find out at least the sign of your North Node by getting that book. You can find it on Amazon. You probably need an astrologer to figure out the house of it, but you can still do a lot of good work knowing the sign of it. So check out that book and it will help you more clearly see what you are here to do and places where you get tripped up. Something else that you can do is to ask someone close to you for an honest assessment about what you're really good at and where you shine. A theme for when the energies are in Leo, and this is a general energy, but it's coming into this specific Scorpio focus here. The energy of Leo is about the creative life force energy burning through you in your own unique way. And so sometimes people are good at things and they don't even really realize it, or they don't take credit for it. And sometimes they're good at something, but they're good at other things, or they're not owning how good they are at it, etc. So Leo energy wants us to just own it. So sometimes it's easy, if you just ask someone close to you some things that you're good at, you might see some different facets of yourself that you have ignored or that you hadn't considered that you could develop. So I think that's a really good exercise. One of my great skill sets is seeing what people are good at. When I look at charts, I can see, wow, you're really good at that. Whatever these things are. So sometimes just hearing, wow, you're good at that. I did astrology for a really long time, and people would say, wow, you've got something there. There's something different about what you're doing. And I didn't really hear that. And then one day I heard it and I was like, wow, okay, I'm going to own that, and anyway, now here we are. But we have these pieces of our destiny that are waiting to unfold. And sometimes just knowing this information is a huge catalyst for moving forward and burning as brightly as possible while we are here in this crazy world. Okay, so something else you can do to max out these energies is to get more business savvy. The energy of the 10th house has to do with business, and it has to do with your place in the world. So anything you can do to develop your business skills, practical business skills, are going to be very well placed during this time. You can also practice radical forgiveness. There's a really cool book called Radical Forgiveness. And this is one of my first favorite self-help books that I found back when I first started searching a very long time ago. And it really, really changed me into this mode of feeling like a victim, to really understanding how my inner imprint is calling in people and experiences. And if you can make that switch to owning your life, then that's the seed for empowerment right there. So this is a really good time to make peace with how people have used power inappropriately in your life. Many people have a strong charge to how people use power in a not good way in general, or specific people to them. And until you can get past this charge and neutralize it, is always going to serve as a debilitating factor for your advancement on every level. So you can step more into your purpose by letting go of this belief that someone ever did anything to you. So some things that, these are later degree placements where this is more focused, but the pieces are still going to be valuable for all Scorpio placements. Going on a library or book bender. When the energies are in the 9th house, as they are for the later degree placements, and like I said, if you're feeling resonance, with the earlier middle degree placements and you want to do it, that is perfect. Book benders are really great for expanding your world, changing your perspective. Something else you can do is also to teach someone something. Sometimes we learn, I learn better by teaching. That's part of why most of my work comes through teaching, because when I'm teaching, I'm learning, and I love learning. It's my favorite thing. So if you start teaching someone something, you might also step into your place in the world. There are so many people that are just needing this switch to be flipped, where you see yourself as having something valuable to offer. My mom is a teacher as well. She's a professor in college, and she would always tell me she must have seen the teaching nature within me, and she had always been saying, you should be a teacher, you should whatever. And so when I would say, well, gosh, I don't really feel like I know enough about the topic that she was telling me to teach, and she said, Annie, you don't really have to know a lot about something to teach. You just have to know more than the people that you're teaching, So there are people that are at a very basic level of something that you're better at. And if you can help them along, it can develop your leadership skills. And so learning something that you've always wanted to learn, this is a really great time for learning and exploring and changing your outlook. This is something that just got solidified to me again. I just took an epic 1-month trip to Alaska. Alaska is like a second home. And I like to take pictures. I'm not an official photographer. I've never taken a class. I don't have very expensive, whatever, but I love taking pictures. As you can see from my videos, I take pretty much all the pictures that I show. So when I was there in Alaska, I found myself just like rolling around on the ground, taking angled pictures from every which way, and how different just the slightest turn of the lens would make the picture just really, really affected me. And that is something that I wanted to carry through to you this month, in that you can change your perspective just the slightest bit, and it can open up a world of possibilities to you. So keep an open heart and an open viewpoint. Sometimes Scorpio energy can be very rigid or fixed because the energy that itself is actually fixed. And sometimes that's a very beneficial thing. It has a lot of positive traits. But in places where that's working against you, if you can just change your camera lens a little bit, maybe even take a camera out and experiment with this, because I had just a visceral shift that happened from taking pictures at these different angles. It was just really blew my mind. So these are some things specific for Scorpio placements. I want to get more into some dates and some other things for the themes for August that are general, how to max out the Leo and Virgo energies that are dominating, and a little bit more about the eclipses, which I'll go into way more detail about in September, and some other stuff about Mercury retrograde cycle. We can break down August into two pretty separate and distinct parts. The first is August 1st through 10th, and the rest is after August 10th for the rest of the month of August. There are energies that are very well sort of defined in that time. And so the first part of August has this theme of burning bright. It's this brilliant Leo energy, and I'll go into more about how to capture, enhance, and really, really use this Leo energy. But first I want to place this period of time, August 1st through August 10th, its importance in the whole scheme of the year. When we finally had Mars go direct at the end of June, that opened up this window that started at the beginning of July and runs through August 10th of this. It's an open window for pushing things through. We've had a massive amount of retrograde energy this year, and we haven't had a lot of windows open for just blazing forward. But one of those windows is now in this beginning of August. So if you are watching this early, great, because you have all of July as well. If you're listening to this later and you have just the beginning part of August, then at least you can use it to its max. So when the stars are going backwards, it lends itself to going backwards, being more relaxed, going back over things, not launching things, not doing new things, not making big decisions. When Mars was in retrograde, there are a whole slew of other things we weren't focusing on or weren't good to focus on. But now in this time period with August 1st through August 10th, it's like you have permission and it's encouraged to just blaze forward. So anything that you have to get done, any kind of launches, any bringing something out into the world, anything where you're doing something officially, like getting an LLC or getting engaged or even getting married, or anything that you're locking into place for a while, this energy is just so good for that. And there are some really beautiful dates. August 1st with Venus and Uranus in a beautiful transit. We've got August 2nd with the new moon in Leo. We've got August 10th with a Mercury and Pluto trine. And there are some other really nice transits throughout the rest of August. But the problem with the rest of August, as far as doing new things or being decisive or launching things, is that as of August 10th, the Mercury shadow period starts again. So every day we get closer to August 30th, between August 10th and August 30th, you're getting more deeply entrenched in that retrograde Mercury energy. That's lending itself to short-term things. A misconception about Mercury retrograde is that you can't do anything in Mercury retrograde, and that's totally not true. You can check out my Mercury retrograde blog on my website, anniehelpsyou.com. You can also check out my Mercury retrograde video on my Annie Botticelli YouTube channel to see more about the do's and don'ts and why we have these do's and don'ts. But it's really fine to do things during Mercury retrograde. You just have to understand that they have a shorter shelf life than you usually expect or plan. So if you just plan to do things that are short term during that time, then you're more protected that way. So let's say you have to move. If you move into a place where you have to have a year lease when Mercury's in retrograde, there's a good chance you're not going to finish that lease till the end. But if you can move into a place with a 4 to 6 month lease or a month to month lease, something like that. Or if you're a contractor and you have a short-term contract, if you're starting something short-term, you're more protected. There's still the legality, the agreements, things that could get botched up there or disorganized or not clearly relayed. But it's more of something that you're trying to do longer term, like getting married or like, starting a business, doing something official. launching a brand new website or project that you've been working on forever. Those are things that you want to carry some longevity to them, and you want their birth date to be in a time that's not lending itself to short-term ventures. I can't tell you how many times I've watched businesses in places I've lived open up with great concepts, great customer service, opening in a Venus retrograde, Mars retrograde, or Mercury retrograde time, and they're closed in a very short amount of time. So hopefully that will help you differentiate the energy between a long-term venture started and a short-term venture. So if you're trying to do something long-term, get it busted out by August 10th. If you're doing something short-term, you have more opportunity to work with things. So something else that is important about the month of August is that you're prime in the energy of eclipse season. Eclipse season happens twice a year, and it's usually associated with major changes. For some people, it's completely life-altering changes. For others, you have to kind of look a little bit to really notice what the changes are. Maybe it's a subtle change in perception. Maybe it's a different direction you're moving in, but it doesn't feel like a big deal, but it's something different. Depending on how the eclipse is hit in your personal chart, is usually going to show you the magnitude of the experience for you. So when you've got the 4 to 6 week period before the eclipses start, anytime news can come in. These eclipses have a long range opportunity for bringing news. So the first eclipse is September 1st. That's a solar eclipse at 9 degrees of Virgo. The second eclipse is September 16th. It's a lunar eclipse at 24 degrees of Pisces. And so we're continuing into this Pisces-Virgo polarity that has been going on for a while. It's going to carry us into 2017 with its effects. So usually the recommendation for eclipse time is to rest and respond, because things will likely happen that will need your attention. It might be that you're supporting someone else or other people who are having the radical change, but you need to be there to show up for them. It might be that you're the one having the big changes, or it might be both. So it's not generally recommended to blaze forward or push things through or take things on during the eclipse time, because you want to keep your plate clear so that when news comes in, you're ready to respond. Very often someone will do something decisive during an eclipse time, only 1 or 2 weeks later to have something happen that totally, changes the direction. I'm going to talk at length about the eclipses next month, because that's the month they actually occur in. But I really had to mention them now because many people are going to start to get life-changing news. And I want you to understand them in the broader perspective of things, that, it's the time to sort of rest and respond. So that's why I'm calling this month, the theme is burn bright and then rest and respond, because with all these planets in Leo, we have these opportunities with everything Leo based, which is very much centered around just burning brightly, creativity, happiness, joy, romance, fun. Some questions to ask that can really assist you with maximizing the Leo energies is, how can you burn more brightly? Are you really rocking your life? If you're not, this Leo energy can really help you to do that. Leo rules anything from being fabulous with your hair and your clothing to being fabulous with your gifts and your talents, acting, singing, instruments, athleticism. This energy of Leo is just very much embodying burning bright, how you're showing up in the world, your creativity, what makes you sizzle. So you can ask the questions, what needs to happen for you to feel more inspired? How can you change your routine? How can you bring things into your life that make you feel excited and ready to burn bright? How can you have more fun? How can you have more romance in your life? These are questions to ask and answer when you have a strong amount of Leo energy. So this started in July. So if you're watching early, you can really start to maximize this. And then really until like that first third of August, up until around August 10th, that Leo energy is just absolutely sizzling. And then it starts to fade more into Virgo being in more dominance. Other questions to ask with the Leo energy is, how can you step more into leadership? Many times we can learn a lot more by teaching, and sometimes there are opportunities around for us to step into that place and we're not feeling ready to take them. But this period of time is the one where it's time to try to step into that. I have a really good friend who is an artist, and she has a lot of Leo energy, but she hasn't really been stepping into a role of teaching or leadership. She's been very unique in her expression. And then some opportunities came along where she had a chance to start teaching. And that makes me think of this energy where she was like, gosh, I've never done that before. And she was almost going to say no to it, except that I happened to be there with her when this opportunity was presented. And I was like, hello, you need to do that right now. And that's what this energy is like. If you don't think of yourself as a teacher, if you don't think of yourself as someone that can stand before someone and lead them into something, maybe it's time to rethink that, because so many people are really supposed to be stepping into that, and this is the energy that can assist you. How can you have more enriched and enriching relationships with children? How can you bring this childlike wonder of awe and inspiration into your daily life? These are all Leo-based energies, so you can have a lot of great practices around how can you be more Leo-like in this time to really, really just burn bright. Then the energy shifts, and the Virgo energy is present all month, but it shifts into more strength after the first third of the month. And that's when you can start asking these questions more, like, how can you get better systems together? How can you get more organized? How can you be more disciplined and have an attitude of service? There's so much that is dependent on how we approach things, Approaching something with a humble heart is an amazing spiritual practice. I think maybe we've all come into connection with someone who is not in the spirit of humble service, and so you might think, well, if you've accomplished a lot, then you're not in that place of service anymore. You're doing service so that you can get into your other place. Some people think this. And I don't believe it's true. As spiritual beings having a human experience, having an attitude of being in service to humanity is a very important question for your fulfillment. And this energy of Virgo can assist you with really embodying being in service to humanity, having better and more interactions with animals and pets, how you can improve your health, how you can improve your diet and your lifestyle and your regimen, how you can improve your daily experience. That's a big one. And how smart can you work? This is a theme that you've heard coming up for a while, because Jupiter has been in Virgo, and so everything Virgo has been expanded since last summer. And in August, we're at the end of Jupiter expanding Virgo. So all of these Virgo lessons that the personal planets are bringing up very strongly in short term this month is like the culmination of this long-term energy with Jupiter and Virgo saying, how can you leave this transit with better systems in place, everything more organized and productive, everything more fulfilling, you enjoying everything more because everything is well organized, having more discipline in the right places, maybe having less discipline in certain places, and really, in some ways, most importantly, how smart can you work? So many of us are programmed that you have to work hard, and that really gets into your psyche. You have to work hard, and you might find yourself always asking, why am I working so hard? It doesn't have to be that hard. That's a good question, and it doesn't have to be that way. And this transit in the short term, with all of this culmination of Virgo energy and this ending of Virgo with Jupiter energy, is really saying, okay, why don't you work smarter? I made a recommendation, I think it was last month, called a book called The 4-Hour Work Week. The 4-Hour Work Week is just a phenomenal book that can help change your mindset, plus give you practical things to do just to work less and make more, which makes a lot of sense. So the overview of the month again is the first third of the month, August up through August 10th. You want to burn bright, do all your launches, do all your initiating, and then start to move into this rest and response mode. Mercury goes retrograde August 30th. That runs through September 22nd. The shadow period starts August, pretty much it's around August 10th. That's why there's that cutoff. And then the shadow period at the end runs until October 7th. So once this window closes August 10th, you're kind of in quiet, not launching response mode until October 7th. And then you've got the last window of the year, which in coming months I'll talk at length about, August 7th through the first days of December, which is our last window of the year to really push things forward. So try to do what you can until August 10th. Anything you can't get done, just table it, rework it, and then wait for your final launch period of 2016. And that's a really important one too, because Venus is going to be retrograde early in 2017. So you're going to want to bust out as many things in that last window of the year as possible. So take it in consideration when you're making your plans. So if you'd like some assistance with putting all this into practice, go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com. Check out my blog, sign up for my free email newsletter, which makes you part of my community, gives you access to all kinds of cool things. If you want some self-development assistance, Unleash Your Money Magnet, Shine, my 28-day virtual coaching program, and my Subliminal Train Your Brain programs are all on there. Also, if you'd like to learn astrology, depending on when you're listening to this, there might be a few slots left in my Astrology Apprenticeship program, which is where you join with a group of fellow astrological zealots with me on a journey through the stars and yourselves. And if you're interested in taking your healing business online, check out my Creating Successful Online Business course. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.